So Philadelphia has a reputation for having a trash problem. Defining
Yeah.
that's trickier than you might think. I am joined here by Terril Haigler, who's better known as Ya Fav Trashman. Terril, how are you?
I'm well. I'm in motion. Sorry I couldn't be stationary for
Well, and
this,
tell
but
us, why are you in motion? Because your reason being in motion is well timed.
I'm in motion because I am organizing the first ever Earth Day trash walk here in Philadelphia, where we'll be walking 5K in the Kensington area of Philadelphia and picking up trash at the same time. And I got Pennsylvania Horticulture Society to pledge that for every bag of trash we pick up to 1,000 bags, they will plant a tree for a 1-to-1 ratio in a brown and black neighborhood over the next 5 years.
Mm, mm. Incredible. Thank you for that work. I've gotten to come to a couple of your cleanups. So the community
Yes.
you've grown has been, it's really beautiful to see. Let me start with an incredibly annoying journalism-y type question, which is, you and I have talked to some about this. How do we know that Philadelphia has a trash problem?
Well, we know that Philadelphia has a trash problem mainly because we see the
Hmm.
trash problem. That's one of the biggest indicators. I recently had a friend visit me, and she rented a car and she drove, and she was able to pinpoint to me exactly when the trash started driving from the airport to Germantown. She remembered the street. She was like, it was crazy. You get off the airport, it's good, and then as soon as you hit such and such block, you just see trash. So that's one way that we know that Philadelphia has a trash problem. And the second is all the quality of life issues that we have. When we have, maybe the worst air pollution in the country, we have rats and rodents are out of control. All of that is centered around the trash problem.
You just hit on something that's important, that when we talk about, and when it comes up, the Philadelphia is a trash problem, that means a few different things. And to even push you a bit, there are some ways that Philadelphia, there are some of these elements that Philadelphia is better at than others. So when we say Philadelphia is a trash problem, we mean things like illegal dumping, which is
Hmm.
frequently reported on. We do have some data on our ability to to police or not police illegal dumping. We
Right.
also talk about um, waste collection, sanitation, something that you know very well, and we should probably touch on here in a moment. We also talk about the amount of waste per capita, um,
Yeah.
rates of pollution. Philadelphia has actually made some progress on, particularly given our industrial path. So we often are talking about the illegal dumping item. We're talking about waste collection. These are items we're talking about. There have been efforts to create a litter index that you've been a part of. Some of those have started and stopped. So I just wonder a little bit of lay of the land when you talk about the Philadelphia trash problem. What are you referring to in your own, like, what are you trying to address
My
in the work
two
you're doing?
main points are litter and illegal dumping.
Hmm.
And even when you say litter, that's layered. Litter is layered
Right.
because litter comes from the act of people, continually placing stuff on the ground and throwing stuff out their car windows on Broad Street, but also the improper process of how they put their trash out. And then when the wind blows, the bags are open and blows down the street. So there's all different types of different ways that Philadelphia litters. It's not just the actual thing that we all think about. Putting the trash out correctly would actually probably cut the litter in the city by like 20%.
And one reason that I've always stayed stuck on what is unique to Philadelphia is because there are a lot, like, there are human qualities that are similar everywhere because of wherever there are
Mm-hmm.
humans. There are city problems, which are like you have a high density of people. That's inconsistent. You
Right.
also have like layers of disinvestment when there are, for a variety of reasons, a lack of infrastructure that if it was handled differently, we just have a different experience. All those are
Exactly.
different inputs. Maybe let me ask you this, knowing that we only have a short time in conversation. Um, I think trash is tricky because it has there's coded language inside of that, particularly when people who don't live in a city talk about a city being dirty. It always makes me a little uncomfortable when people talk about my city being dirty, because there are layers to what people mean by that, and some I find
Right.
really gross, and others are accurate and specific. Um, it's also easy for folks to say, "Man, of all of the problems in the world, why is trash what you focus on so much?" So why don't you start with, I shouldn't say start with, why don't you tell me, why is trash something more than just loose soda cans?
Well, because trash is the actual vehicle that drives a lot of the epidemics that's wrong with Philadelphia. So I always refer to the study of from Penn in 2018. They cleaned up 500 vacant lots and they cleaned up, green spaces, and crime was reduced by 30% in that area. So the direct act of cleaning the trash up resulted in crime being reduced. And as you know, Philadelphia is dealing with a high amount of violence. So trash is like the starter kit for a lot of the issues that socially, economically, educational trash starts, because trash has a certain stigma, it has a certain aura around it. And I really do believe if we could control our trash issue and get our city cleaner, we could then focus our attention on the school district having asbestos and brown water. We can focus on food insecurity. We could focus on homelessness. We could, domino all the things that we want to change in Philadelphia, with starting with trash, starting with cleaning the trash up, starting with getting neighbors engaged civically in their community around trash, then gets them engaged civically around voting. And then it's just a vehicle. Trash is a vehicle, whether bad or good, it's a vehicle for change. So right now it's a vehicle for change. And
Oh, I might have lost your audio. Oh, there you go. Sorry,
uh,
sorry. Keep going. I got you back.
so
You're back.
yeah, we just need to shift our behavior and our mindset around trash, so that, I say all the time, I realize that trash is a 3-point triangle problem: city government, residents, and the local municipal, the streets department. If
Mm.
all three work together, we could solve this trash problem in about maybe 2 3 years.
Mm. I'm gonna let you go here in a sec, but remind me of, you saw this firsthand as a past sanitation worker. Do you remember when did Ya Fav Trashman as a brand and a concept first come to your mind? Like, was there a moment or is there a memory that crystallized this being something that you had to make not a job but a cause?
When I had a gun pulled out on me on the route, so gotta do it.
Because it connected for you, like,
It shed a light on how frustrated Philadelphia was around the trash issue.
yeah.
That's what it did for me. It put a microscope that the lack of communication from the streets department, the lack of transparency on what's going on during COVID around trash pickup, had someone so frustrated that because I didn't take something that I wasn't supposed to take, they felt like the only option they had was to pull a gun out on me and make me take it.
Holy shit. I don't think I've heard that. Um, what was it that you took or were being forced to take?
I was actually on the recycle truck and they were trying to make me take styrofoam. Not styrofoam's not recyclable.
So styrofoam resulted in that gun being pulled. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm terribly sorry that that happened to you. But it's remarkable what you're doing with that,
Oh,
with the outcome.
that's when I realized like to do something, because at this point I'm not safe at work. And my first post at Your Fave Trashman was June 17th. This happened like towards the end of May, and I was just like, I have to do something. Because one of the things I wanted to do was relate to residents. Like when I clock out, I'm a resident again. I'm not a sanitation worker. And I understood the frustration. I used to tell people, just like your trash isn't getting picked up, mine isn't either. We had some sanitation
Mhm.
workers bringing their trash to work in their cars.
Mm.
So for me, it was just trying to be a liaison between resident and the streets department and just asking for grace and understanding that we're all in it together, guys. Your trash is my trash, and my trash is your trash.
Mm.
But I understand the frustration of not having, transparency or communication from someone who you're expecting to do it, like the streets department. I mean, not to be, that guy, but the only way the streets department communicates most Twitter and Instagram. There's
Mhm.
nothing, and their website. And how many people go to the website of the streets department for information?
Mhm. You you are rapidly turning into a trash
Say
bound
again?
poet. You're rapidly turning into
Right.
a trash informed poet and philosopher. So that's an important role.
Yeah, that's what I mean, if technically wanted to hire me to, report on trash, technically, I'd do it. That's what I was.
That's interesting to hear. Um, uh, Terrell, thank you so much for this conversation. I'm going to close out our recording here. Oh, and I lost you, so maybe that's well timed. Well, now I have to confirm that we have Terrell before I close. All right, and he's gone. We will confirm Terrell's safety. We do not recommend interviews while driving. There were extenuating circumstances, and he did that safely, for the record. All right, we'll see everybody. Bye.